Hello, everybody, and welcome back to ZakIsCinema. Yes, welcome home, everybody. You're always welcomed here because if you find yourself just kind of looking around and realizing you have nobody to talk to about movies you just experienced or somebody that will just listen to you talk about movies, well, we have found each other here in the same exact spot, so please join me in the corner of my living room. I'll talk movies with you whenever you want. But yes, today we're going to be doing another movie review, so let's just hop right into it. Today we're going to be reviewing and discussing the movie Fantastic Four: Rise of the Silver Surfer, which came out in 2007. So for director, we got Tim Story. Writer, we got Don Payne and Mark Frost. Starring in the movie, we got Chris Evans, Lone Gruffud, Jessica Alba, and Michael Chiklis. So as we hop into the review for Fantastic Four: Rise of the Silver Surfer, if you saw my previous Fantastic Four video, you know that we're obviously getting ready for the new Fantastic Four movie coming out in just a couple days here, which I'm definitely looking forward to. It looks like a Marvel movie that really has a distinct sense of style and tone to it, something that I feel like we've been missing as of recently. So yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to that one, excited to check it out. And like I said in that other video, I feel like I kind of missed out on a lot of these Fox Marvel early superhero movies. You know, I was about 9-10 years old when Iron Man came out, so I was like at that perfect age, just really growing up with the MCU, at least through the first 3 to 4 phases there. So that's what kind of hit me and my friends here, and I just kind of missed out on these like Fantastic Four movies, a lot of the X-Men movies, so I find myself kind of trying to go back and rediscover those. But yeah, for this one, the Silver Surfer one, I do distinctly remember the trailers and marketing for this one, specifically remembering the Silver Surfer just because he looked so cool and interesting, and it was kind of unlike anything I've really seen before. So I always remember seeing those ads play on TV, but that's pretty much all I knew about this movie. I know these original ones aren't very held to a high standard. Not a lot of people talk about them. I feel like some people have nostalgia for them, but surprisingly, I kind of somewhat enjoyed the first one. There it was a lot better than I thought it was going to be. Definitely dated, but yeah, I was excited to check this out, see what they could do with a bigger budget and a sequel. So yeah, let's hop into the review section, starting with the positives or just the things that I really enjoyed about this movie. So first, when I first started watching this movie, I was definitely very happy and excited that right off at the beginning, you can see all the special effects have really increased their production design, their budget. Everything definitely looks a lot better, especially like I said in the beginning parts when you get the Silver Surfer kind of crashing and flying through Earth. Like I said, definitely better special effects. You could see they took a little bit more time with it, put some more money into it, because I think that was one of my biggest detriments with the first one. Just a lot of the areas don't hold up very well. So this one, especially, like we'll get into it with the Silver Surfer, just actually looks pretty decent for its time. And I would say the Silver Surfer is a pretty big positive for me here. We'll get into some of my issues with him, but I like the introduction of how you just see him flying throughout different places throughout Earth, and he's just covering the Earth with this like gentle frost. So I think it does a good job with just, showing you who the villain is and showing you the type of destruction he can do, especially when he's not even trying, like he's already changing weathers and climates in certain areas, and he's not even really trying to do anything. So I think it's a cool, neat little introduction that we get from him. And like I said, surprisingly, I thought the Silver Surfer was going to look awful in this movie since he's just a fully rendered CGI character in the movie, but the Silver Surfer looks pretty good. Johnny Storm's flame stuff I noticed looked significantly better here. So both of their CGI and, like I said, just the effects in general definitely got a much needed upgrade in this sequel. And in this movie, I really do appreciate how we get bigger action set pieces, and the stakes and everything just feels significantly higher. Way better than in the first one, when the third act battle just takes place in some little corner alleyway of the city. Like, they were still trying to figure it out back in the day there, and just the stakes weren't really there. This one definitely seems like a much bigger movie, just given the villains, Galactus being involved, just the stakes and everything seem much higher, so I think it's a little bit more entertaining. I like that we get some more scenes here with the Fantastic Four all kind of working together and really showing off their different superpowers and how they work as a team here. And like I said, even though I think parts of the third act is a little cheesy and a little disappointing, especially because part of it is just another rehash battle with Doctor Doom as he comes back in. We'll get into it, but it at least feels bigger. You could tell they're trying to figure out how to really land superhero movies at this time, and I think this one is definitely starting that path moving forward. And I think with this sequel, it definitely keeps that very fun tone, fun vibe where it's almost somewhat self-aware but serious, and takes the serious characters and takes its threat very seriously as well. So I like the mix of tone. You get a great group dynamic with Chris Evans as Johnny Storm, just really bringing the humor and the lightheartedness without it feeling, eye-rolling or just stupid. I think Chris Evans is definitely one of the biggest positives in the first one and in this one. I've always heard people talk about his character and how much they like him, so they're not kidding. He is definitely easily some of the best parts in both of these movies, and it makes me appreciate Deadpool and Wolverine even more, and I kind of wish I saw these before I saw that one, but he's a great actor and does a terrific job playing this likable douchebag. But yeah, let's jump into my mixed section for this movie. So, like I was touching on, the effects overall are significantly better, but I don't think they ever really nailed those stretch effects with Mr. Fantastic. They just look so goofy and so cheesy. It works for me in this movie, just given, the time period it was made. It's not ultra serious. It's got a bit of that campy early 2000s tone, but they don't hold up, and I'm hoping that this new one really nails those stretch effects, because I think that's such a cool power. And in both of these movies, they feel so limited because they probably didn't want to show it too much, but I think there's a lot you could do with that, and it kind of worries me that they're not showing too much of the Mr. Fantastic stretching around in the trailer and marketing, so I'm wondering if it just doesn't look the best. I don't know. We'll see here. And unfortunately, like I said, I have some positive aspects for the Silver Surfer, just with how he looks, his design, his powers, but he mostly kind of fits in my mixed section for the movie. Like I said, he looks cool, and it's interesting how he kind of turns out to be this henchman for Galactus, just conquering worlds and preparing them for destruction for Galactus. But throughout the majority of the movie, he's just kind of surfing around and doesn't get too much development or fleshes out in any sort of way. He's just kind of the threat, and then they just build him up. He's the guy that we got to take care of. But by the time you get development, find out that he's a henchman, and he kind of switches what he was first sent here to do. It's not until the last 20-25 minutes of the movie. So I just felt like some of that was missing, and maybe should have been hinted at or discussed a little bit earlier on to get me really invested with this, instead of him just kind of surfing for 70% of the movie here. And I think my biggest issue with him is he really just changes sides so suddenly. Like, when you find out he's this henchman, Sue Storm is talking to him, getting to know him, and that stuff's kind of interesting. But then he just kind of switches sides, realizes he doesn't want to work for Galactus anymore, doesn't want to do all this, doesn't doesn't want to destroy Earth, and ultimately makes that switching point because Sue Storm reminds him of his girl on his home planet. But he just kind of switches on a dime and really gets rid of any of that complicated villainous side that I think could have been fleshed out a little bit more. Like, complicated villains that aren't fully villainous or good are very interesting, but when you have one that just switches so fast, it kind of undermines all of that could have been very interesting. Like, yeah, for Jessica Alba, I would switch my whole moral compass and switch sides on a dime, but when we're talking superhero movies, it doesn't work that well. I mean, I get it. Trust me, I get it, but it doesn't lead to something very interesting. But let's jump into my negatives, or the things that I just didn't really like all too much about this movie. And I would say overall, with both of these movies, I don't know if I can really say one or the other that I enjoy more, just because they both go for something very similar. But overall, I do enjoy this movie. It's a fun, easy, early superhero movie to watch, but it definitely struggles similar to the first one, where the threat and the plot or anything interesting really doesn't kick off until like 30-40 minutes into the movie. So in this one, it just follows our characters kind of moving around, walking around, trying to get Sue Storm and Reed Richards' wedding together, and that's like the first like 30 minutes of the movie. That's just not that interesting. And even when we get the Silver Surfer threat, like I said, he's just kind of flying around. He touches Johnny Storm at one point and makes him be able to transfer his powers to other Fantastic Four characters for not really an explained reason, and I thought they could have maybe done a little bit more with that. But even when the plot kicks in, it's not that interesting. The threat doesn't really, like, not until Galactus gets involved in the last like 15-20 minutes does the stakes really feel that high. And it honestly, it felt just very similar to the first one, because when the Silver Surfer gets introduced and touches Johnny Storm, and then they figure out they can transfer powers, it's like they all have to kind of figure out their powers again and go through that revelation. So it just reminded me too much of the first one, when they all get their powers and have to figure it out. It's like we're kind of doing the same thing, but it doesn't really do anything other than just them figuring out each other's powers this time. And to me, when the movie was going, I really did enjoy at first when they brought Doctor Doom back. I kind of like having that continuity. Too many superhero movies, I feel like we get the villain, it's killed off and never brought up again. So I like that he shows up in both of these movies here. But I think it's so stupid on how he gets woken up. Like, I still don't really understand how he was waking up and released here, and it's so dumb how the government and everyone around him just trust him again so quickly, because he had that interaction with the Silver Surfer, and they're like, hey, he knows things, so we need to trust him, so he needs to help out because he interacted with this thing, and he walks around like a free man after almost destroying the world like a year or two ago. And at one point they're just like letting him walk around in the scientific lab unsupervised, and he's just allowed to do anything that he wants. So, and of course he turns full evil again, and I'm like, yeah, no shit. I kind of figured that would happen. I don't know how no one else did, and I don't know if I just missed it, but again, I don't know how he ended up getting all of his Doctor Doom powers again, but still looking the same and human, unlike he did in the first one, like not all messed up again. So I don't know, maybe I missed something there, but it seemed all so convenient. And for the life of me, I really don't understand Doctor Doom's plan again. Like in the first one, I think I was saying that at first he was just really angry and upset and just wanted to find a cure, but refuses to help the Fantastic Four, does his own thing. And I'm like, okay, like I can forgive that. I get it. But then with this one, I think he's just going around thinking that he can all of a sudden help Galactus without ever meeting or knowing who Galactus is. And, is going to do the Silver Surfer's dirty work after the Silver Surfer switched sides. And what does he think? That Galactus is just going to come down and be like, oh, okay, you're my new henchman. Welcome aboard, buddy. Like, no, I don't I don't think that would happen. And then the way they defeat him is just so anticlimactic and just kind of silly. They defeat him by taking his board and throwing him into an ocean like it's nothing. And then they try building up these threats like in the first one and the second one with Doctor Doom, and he just gets taken out like it's nothing. So I really hope in Doomsday, I'm sure it'll be a better portrayal, but these were a little dated, if anything. And unfortunately, the portrayal, if you could even call it that, I guess the visualization of Galactus is nothing. We get maybe 3 seconds of a shadow outline of him. So it's frustrating because when the Silver Surfer kind of switches sides and Doctor Doom, you know, we knew he was going to turn evil and he kind of gets taken out. There's really like no villain we can really connect with anymore. And it's just this big Galactus thing that we don't ever see that's just coming to consume Earth, I guess. And the movie struggles to, you know, like I said, have a villain, have a personal battle at the end, and instead we just get stuck with the bigger baddie in Galactus and we never see him. And I think the Silver Surfer just kind of takes out Galactus again, almost like it's nothing. like he just flies up into the eye of the storm from Galactus as he's consuming the Earth, and like I don't even know, like blasts a beam at him. It's the first time we've really seen the Silver Surfer do something like this, and kills him within like 10-15 seconds like it's nothing. So then that starts making me ask questions. Well, if you could really just destroy him like this and you were already kind of feeling a little bit complicated, you could have taken him out like it was nothing, and then it just kind of shits all over Galactus if one of his henchmen can just take him out like that. So that was a little disappointing. It's a cool, fun scene, but once you start to think about it, it just kind of falls apart a little bit. And I don't know if it's just me or, again, if I missed something, if this is a callback, maybe it's something in the comics, I don't know, but I found the ending kind of weird with Richards and Sue Storm's wedding. As they finally decide to do it, they randomly decide to not quit the team because they're like, oh, we got to stick together. And then they have a wedding in China when they're all dressed up in, you know, Chinese culture clothing and everything. And it felt like it kind of came out of nowhere. And I'm like, well, maybe they wanted to get away from their city to not have any interruptions, but then they get interrupted again and just leave their weddings. So I'm like, okay, well, what was all of the point of going to China for your wedding? In no way does it ruin the movie. I just found it kind of weird and stupid. But overall here, I would say I did have a lot of specific negatives, but as I was watching it, I had a pretty decent time with it. I felt very similar to this one as I did with its original. It's an early comic book movie that quite hasn't figured out their formula yet, and you see the limitations with the villain, the story, and the main overarching plot. However, it's still a fun movie, especially if you don't take it too serious, and I never felt miserable when I was watching it, which I think is a positive for any movie that you're watching here. So for my rating for this movie is again very similar to the first one, that I think the first one and this one are perfect cable TV movies or streaming movies, absolutely perfect for something like that. These movies are absolutely perfect to just kind of have on in the background, reminisce about earlier, simpler times as you Windex your windows, fold your socks, and do your dishes, and you can have in a very easy time watching these. So you guys have my thoughts on Fantastic Four: Rise of the Silver Surfer. Let me know down below what you think of this movie. I'm curious to hear if people prefer the original or this one more. To me, I'm not 100% sure which one. I'll leave that for my ranking video here in a couple days, so look forward to that video too. But let me know all your thoughts and feelings about this movie down below here. But I appreciate anybody watching my videos, so thank you so much. And yeah, look forward to more ZakIsCinema coming very soon.